Let's bring in Dean Parkin. He's director from the Heart Group. Dean, great to see you, and a leader of the Yes campaign yourself. Let's start with the questions about the Prime Minister's wording. It sounds like he's open to changing those to make sure the amendment is watertight. Do you think he should be flexible on that?
Well, that's been the Prime Minister's commitment all the way through this process, Kieran. When he first announced those words back in July last year at the Garma Festival, the Prime Minister said they're the proposed form of words, the draft form of words. He committed to a process to bring in the experts and bring in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to work with him on that and the government on that. So, I mean, that's what the process has been set up to do, is to make sure that those different views are being heard and to ensure that we get the very strongest, most appropriate, safest and most effective change to the Constitution that we can possibly achieve.
Now, I've received and read the Indigenous Voice, it's called a book, An Indigenous Voice to Parliament, Considering a Constitutional Bridge, by Father Frank Brennan, a respected lawyer, professor in law and human rights lawyer, big advocate for the voice to Parliament. But he believes, like others, that Ian Callanan, former High Court judge, and others, that the amendment needs to be tightened up. The removal of reference to executive government, for example, is that your reading of it as well?
Oh, look, I think there's been a formal process established here, Kieran, to examine, get the experts in the room and to actually look at that. I know that there's been a lot of views on this over the years. Everybody's had their opportunity to have a say. Clearly, when this is put to the Parliament as part of that referendum bill, there'll be more examination of this, more opportunity for public submission, so there'll be other views. I think we should just let the process run its course. Let that expert advice flow through to the government and take on board what Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are saying as well. And then let's just trust that process to go through where everybody can actually have their say on what they think the right words should be.
Do you think it's actually a good thing to have it all debated and fleshed out like this in terms of changes to that proposed amendment by the Prime Minister, that others like Father Frank are coming forward with their version of what the amendment should be? Is that a healthy thing to have this debate right now?
We've always said we welcome all sorts of views on this issue more generally, Kieran, and in fact I'm here in Adelaide right now talking to community groups, faith groups, business groups, civil society across the country that are just absolutely keen to get involved in the campaign. So that's just the nature of this debate, and we've always said we need to include as many different voices in this as we possibly can, so that everybody feels like they've got an opportunity to be included, and we're really keen to foster that as the Yes campaign moving forward.
Yeah, well, the way to do that, you would imagine, is to tighten up the constitutional change to help any Conservatives that might be willing to support the voice. I think of Julian Lisa is a good example of the coalition spokesperson on these matters, who supports a voice but just wants it clarified and its legal implications clear. So that could well help you reach that broader community, Dean.
Well, some of the nation's most prominent constitutional conservatives have been involved in this process for many years, Kieran. They've been involved every step of the way in giving advice on this, and in fact the current form of words, the proposed words that is currently going through that process, has come about through progressive legal experts, conservative legal experts, all having their say. And as I say, right up until polling day, people are going to be expressing their own opinion on what the most appropriate form of words is. We believe there's absolutely been a rigorous process over many years to get to this point. We believe that the process that's been set up by the government will get us closer. Clearly the Parliament will have their say again. But at the end of the day, Kieran, we've heard a lot from experts, we've heard a lot from the politicians and the talking heads. We're really keen to get this to the people. We actually got to take it out of the bubble and get it to the people, because they're up for this conversation, and that's what we're really focused on at this point in time.
You've got a key role in the Yes campaign, Dean. Give our viewers an update of where it's at in terms of the full launch and case that's being made in support of the Yes vote. Give us an update of where your efforts are at right now.
Well, we're right here right now, Kieran, in Adelaide. There's 250 people in the room from all over the country, as I said, from all sectors of the Australian society. You've got, executives from some of the big banks sitting there alongside community campaigners who have just started organically supporting this whole movement. This is all about taking this debate out of the bubble, away from all the speculators and the commentators, and actually bringing it back to where this campaign belongs, which is the people and the voters of Australia. We're really excited about it. We're gearing these people up and these networks and organisations up to take that message back out to their communities, because we know there are many Australians, there are many supporters out there that want to be involved. And we also know, Kieran, there's a lot of people out there that are just starting to hear about this for the first time. They're unsure about what their position might be. They want to feel invited. They want to feel part of this. And that's what this is absolutely about doing, which is bringing them in and making sure that everybody feels that this is a campaign that all Australians are welcome to be involved in.
Do you have a sense of optimism at the moment? There are all sorts of arguments being made for and against, doubts around the proposal, but I guess with any major referendum there's always going to be some concern. But do you feel a sense of optimism right now that this can be done?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about where this came from, Kieran. It was originally Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people placing their belief, placing their faith in the people of Australia, because that's where we think the power for this issue absolutely lies. We're starting a campaign. We haven't started the Yes campaign more formally yet. We're sort of sitting at 60-65%. That's not to say that we're resting on our laurels. We know there's an incredible amount of work, but this is absolutely a campaign of opportunity. We think that this is something that Australians want to achieve. We understand that there might be some questions that people are raising, but we also believe that by commencing that conversation and getting out there and engaging people, those questions will be answered, and Australians are going to see that this is something they can absolutely get behind.